So welcome to another one of our podcasts here at Bitesize Edge. Today I'm got the absolute pleasure of talking to Debbie Leafe, another one of our Edgeites. Morning, Debbie.
Good morning.
Debbie is from Mindfit Coaching, if I pronounce that correctly, Debbie.
You have, Pip, yes, Mindfit Coaching.
Fabulous. So Debbie, I'm really interested in exploring your journey with NLP, not just NLP, but the other aspects that you work in. So you also do mindfulness and yoga, don't you?
That's right, yeah. We're sort of more about well-being. We like to take a holistic approach to people's well-being, Pip. Shall I tell you a little bit about my journey?
Yeah, that would be fabulous. And also, who's we, by the way, Debbie?
Oh, sorry. My daughter. I work with my daughter, which is absolutely lovely. So yeah.
She wouldn't thank you for not mentioning her.
No, she wouldn't. I'd be in trouble, wouldn't I? Yeah.
Would be. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Okay. Well, how far do I need to go back? So let's go back to I was 54, which is about 6 years ago. Letting on that I'm 60 there, but hey ho. So I was 54 and I'd been a senior manager in a very complex corporate environment for 23 years.
Wow.
I'd climbed the corporate ladder, doing all the things that I felt were expected of me within a corporate environment, only to get not quite to the top, but near to the top of the ladder, to think, I don't know if this is me, you know. I don't really know that this sits with my values. But at that time, Pip, I wasn't really aware of my values. I just knew in my gut that something didn't feel right.
How far into your 23 years was that?
Pip, it was 17 years. But I must say, for the first 17 years, it was fine. And what I learnt in the corporate environment has actually brought me to where I am now, together with lots of other stuff.
Right.
And it was exciting to climb that corporate ladder and to be promoted and to get more responsibility. But it was only, I think, when I plateaued a little bit with the promotions and became a senior manager, that I had the opportunity to sort of sit back and think, does this sit with who I am? And it's weird, isn't it, that it takes 17 years in a corporate environment to actually sit back and think about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And as I said to you, I use the word comply, and I use it loosely, but I felt that I complied with the expectations within a corporate environment.
Right.
For meetings, for whatever I needed to do. It was a culture where everybody did the same thing, and in order to progress, I felt that I needed to do what everybody else did.
Okay.
And really, it didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And now I understand what makes me tick and what my values are. I can understand why it wasn't right. My values are all about authenticity, nurture, those sort of things. And when I look back, the environment that I worked in didn't really support those values. And to be honest with you, Pip, I often felt in meetings or in presentations quite vulnerable.
Okay. So when you say vulnerable, how do you mean?
I felt as though there was a lot of competition within meetings and within the organisation, a lot of one-upmanship, a lot of people wanting their voices to be heard rather than yours.
Yeah.
People would often take an opportunity to try and devalue your offering within the meeting. And I don't know if this is typical in all corporates, but it certainly was where I was. So I often, when I went in, felt quite vulnerable and unsure about how things would be. And for me now, it doesn't support people's growth or people being authentic.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you said about you were at year 17 when you had that kind of like light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And as you might well remember, Debbie, I worked for the John Lewis Partnership for 17 years.
Wow.
And I was one of 50,000 employees at the time, nowhere near that many now. And I'd loved it, a little bit like you. I'd loved it. I climbed the ladder. I really enjoyed the challenge. And then I had that one moment when I kind of looked around me and went, oh my gosh, I almost felt slightly suppressed.
Yeah.
but by an amazing organisation. So I don't take anything away from the organisation, because I think it's really well set up in what it does. But I suddenly realised that one of 50,000 employees meant I was almost on a plateau with everyone.
Yeah.
How was I being authentic?
Yeah.
And actually, was I actually being me, and was my individuality being able to come through?
But I think we don't.
I had that moment of looking outside of the business.
Yeah. Well, I spent the next 5 years, Pip, moaning.
Okay.
Nothing but moan about, I don't like my job, this is awful. Until
fun to be around.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, my husband, in the end, after 5 years of whinging every day when I came home from work, said, for goodness sake, he said, I've met somebody today. He said, lovely lady. He said, I've made you an appointment to go and see her. So I said, oh, okay. Who's that then? He said, it's a life coach. Will you go? I said, yeah, I'll go. So I spent 6 months with this lady who absolutely turned my life upside down, challenged lots of my beliefs. I was 54 at the time. I believed I was too old to change career. I believed I would stick it out till I was 60 and then I'd get my pension, just like my mum did. I believed I hadn't got transferable skills, all sorts of rubbish. Right. And she challenged lots of my thoughts about it. And at the time, I just couldn't wait to retire at 60. Well, now, Pip, I'm 60 and there's no way I'm going to retire. I absolutely love what I'm doing.
How brilliant. How brilliant. So what shifted for you then? What was the real, if you were going to pinpoint during the 6 months with your life coach, what was it? What was the light bulb moment when you went, oh, God, I need to change lanes here. This is what I need to do.
Actually, it was when I saw what she did.
Right.
When I experienced what she did, and I thought to myself, I've been doing this, but under another title for the last 23 years. Right. Because the part of my job that I absolutely loved was seeing my staff develop and move on, strange as that might sound, because I'd got to do the re-recruiting again. Yeah. But I just absolutely loved to see people grow, develop and move on. And I thought, I could do what you do. And it was from that very first meeting that I thought, this is what I want. And then she helped me to get rid of some of those assumptions and beliefs about how life is. And the rest is history. Set my own business up and have just become more authentic as the years have gone by. And now what I do just comes so easily.
Yeah.
So that's not to say there are never any problems or challenges, because that's not life. But for me now, I am completely authentic in what I do. Instead of when I was in the corporate environment, I felt that I got up every day, and for me, it was putting that corporate mask on.
Yes, yeah, I get that. I do. That really resonates with me. So when you were working with your life coach, did she use any NLP skills as part of the work with you?
Not that I was aware of at the time, but when I decided that I wanted to be a coach, I went to do some training, and within that training was probably a couple of exercises, a couple of days around NLP, and it really whet my appetite.
Right.
I then went on to do some work with a lady called Ali King-Smith, who you know, and was introduced to you via Ali.
Yeah, fabulous lady.
Found out what you did. And I thought, yeah, I want some of that, because it really had whet my appetite to find out. Because now I work a lot with people and try to help them to understand what's happening from the subconscious. And of course, NLP and what you do is a lot around the subconscious mind. So it really fascinated me. But my first experience with you, Pip, was when I did the presentation course.
Yeah, Presenting with Impact, the one that Jules runs.
Yeah, and that was an absolute game changer for me. I always had a fear of public speaking, and really felt that it was a major issue for me.
Right.
It was the one thing that I felt was getting in the way. And I came on that course, and it was a game changer, an absolute game changer. I remember the first day and how I felt, and I remember that I came in and I was felt very uncomfortable about presenting. And then on the last day, I remember Jules stopped the people, stopped the session and said, look at Debbie now. And I actually sat on the edge of the desk with a cup of coffee in my hand, and I was so comfortable.
and again, had something, so that's about almost the inner dialogue that we play out, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And how it influences what we do. So if you go back to what you were talking about, when you used to come home and moan to your poor husband about work and everything else that went around it, actually you were continuing to play out that dialogue, weren't you?
Yeah, reinforcing everything all the time.
It's an extraordinary thing, isn't it, that we seek evidence to support the way that we're thinking, because we want to be right, even when that right is so incredibly wrong for us.
Yeah, so unhelpful. Yeah.
So you went from doing presenting with impact, and then you did, I remember you were part of quite a large group we had, weren't you, when we did the practitioner course at Missington Abbey? Yes, it would have been.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Lovely place.
Fabulous place. So how has NLP fitted into the overall toolkit and offering that you and your daughter have and deliver for your clients?
Oh, that's a good one. In so many ways, Pip, in so many ways. And it's not just something that's in the toolkit, it's something that's become part of me.
Yeah, that's so key.
My journey has been influenced enormously by my time with Edge.
Right.
And it's something that is with me all the time. It's part of who I am now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's about communication with people. It's about the language we use, and it's the things we do every day. It's about communication, rapport, all of those things. It's integral, and I think that I've always had quite an ability to build rapport with people. But it was just fascinating for me to understand what builds that and how we can encourage to be even better at building those communications and the rapport. And I think having a business and doing what we do, particularly with well-being, it's essential that we create this environment where people feel comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of the journey.
Yeah. And do you find yourself now always wearing your Wonder Woman pants?
What do you mean by that?
I best explain. That every day is a good day, hurrah! Or do you still have moments where you have challenges, but what you have now is a tool that you can...
That's why I asked you what you meant, because to me that's unrealistic.
Right.
Of course, we will never be Wonder Woman, nor should we want to be. And it takes me back to the authentic bit. I have a real deep belief that everybody is enough. Oh, and just a little story on that, Pip. On the practitioner course, I was doing a session with Jules, and we were doing something around assumptions. And she talked to me about what I might be assuming, and it was around not being enough. I felt that I wasn't enough. And following the session, that's a big thing that I've taken away, that I am enough. And that is really the basis of what I work with my clients now. We are all enough, no matter who we are or what we are. We have everything we need right inside us right now.
Oh, do you know what? That sounds lovely, doesn't it? It really, it's quite a... that kind of gives me a real sense of warmth and comfort with that. And so how do we go about those moments, Debbie, when the Wonder Woman pants are firmly folded up in the bottom of the knicker drawer, and just to carry on with that analogy, and you're kind of not feeling that you're enough? How do we get ourselves back in touch with that moment and that sensation? How do we do it?
Well, there's a couple of things that I would suggest. One of them is around some of the stuff that I learned with NLP, changing state, and putting yourself into a different state, which we can do. You know, our whole physiology changes by our thoughts and the positive things that we think, and visualization. But the other aspect, Pip, which aligns with my mindfulness that I do, is just to accept that some days we will feel like that, and that's okay. It's absolutely okay. When I work with clients, I say to them, what is it that we expect to only feel the positive emotions? That's not life. We are made to feel anger, sadness, loneliness, frustration. and that's okay. And maybe to sit with those emotions can help us to move forward instead of trying to push them away.
Yeah,
So
and there's sorry, Debbie, there's a phrase that I absolutely love, which is wherever you are right now is where you're meant to be.
Absolutely, yeah. And I take everything back to authenticity. Let's just be who we are, where we are, how we are, whatever we feel. And that's not to say that we're passive, Pip. That's not to say we give up. It's just to be at one with who we are in order for us to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Debbie, just very quickly, tell me a little bit about what Mindfit Coaching does. What do you offer?
So we are. I'm a coach, life and business coach.
Yeah.
I teach yoga, and I'm a mindfulness trainer, and my daughter is yoga and mindfulness. So we offer one-to-one. We also go into corporates. Wellbeing is a bit of a buzzword now, isn't it? We go into corporates and we deliver wellbeing programs. They could be wellbeing standing alone, or they might be wellbeing with an element of coaching in there. Because actually, you can't divide what I do really. The yoga clearly sits separately, but the mindfulness and the coaching are interwoven into what we deliver. So it's all about how we are within the corporate environment, and is how we are within the corporate environment okay for us, and what are the different aspects that we can bring into our life to manage some of the stresses and the strains of the corporate world, or just modern day life.
Yeah, okay. And you run retreats as well, is that right?
Yes, we do retreats. Done some fabulous retreats where we take people away to different destinations. We've been to India, Spain, Wales this year, which doesn't sound quite so exciting, but it was. But something I just want to share with you before we finish the podcast, Pip, is to say that on my practitioner course, I remember on the last day you sent us off over a beautiful field near Missenden Abbey and told us to go away and visualise what we wanted our future life to be. And we've done some work on that during the prac course. And I just want to say that everything that I visualised has happened for me.
That's fabulous. The goal setting exercise, I remember that. I think you might have been on the course where, because there was a fence at the end of the field, wasn't there?
That's right, yeah.
You got you all to visualise and pick somewhere. Yeah. One of the people on the course went, oh yeah, I'm having that. And it was right over the other side of the fence.
And I think it is all about what you put in your subconscious, because my journey with Edge, loads has been going into my subconscious. And it's not that I come away and actually do anything.
Yeah.
But it's there. And once it's there, it happens.
Absolutely. Our conscious mind is the goal setter. Our unconscious mind is the goal getter.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. So Debbie, how can people find you? How can people listen to this podcast of Bitesize Edge? How can they find you?
So I have a Facebook page, Mindfit Coaching. We have another Facebook page, Mindfit Yoga. We have a website, mindfitcoaching.co.uk. And we're on LinkedIn. Oh, and my daughter is on Instagram, but I'm not really into Instagram, so she does the Instagram bit.
So what
leaves that to her?
And do you know what the Instagram handle is?
That's Mindfit Yoga.
Mindfit Yoga.
Is that a handle, Pip? I'm not. I'm not up with the kids, you know.
I don't even know if it is a handle. I think I've just referred to something known as TV radios. Who knows? But and I honestly think, Debbie, we haven't yet actually given your daughter a name.
Oh, my lovely, lovely daughter, Abby.
Abby. Okay, so Abby looks after Instagram for you guys.
Yeah, she does. Brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Debbie, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this morning.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Pip, as always.
Yes, we always end up laughing quite a bit when you and I have a conversation, which is always very refreshing. Yeah. And just for those of you who are listening, you can find us you can follow us, in fact, on iTunes and on Spotify. Just look for Bitesize Edge. And Debbie is one of a series of interviews that we're doing with Edgeites, each one of them very different, with a very different story. So thank you, Debbie, yet again for joining us. Really appreciate it. Have an amazing rest of your day, and look forward to catching up with you very soon.
Thank you, Pip.